They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense.
Harold, King's Roulette, King's Club. We're going to follow up with that fun time that we had yesterday. We made solid money with Found in Him, Brad's recommendation. Slight modification to it. We're going to add another modification today, a twist to it today off of the angel continuing to push me on randomness. I used to think random was one word, but he's showing to me that you can actually be more random, and more random. So one of the things we're going to do today is explain, yesterday that we made some audibles with regard to Fibonacci that I want you to keep in your mind when you're there with your real money playing Fibonacci. You can make decisions. It's your money. Don't get so deep into Fibonacci after you've made a win. Don't continue on. You're not all the way back to session profit. You've made a win. You're high in Fibonacci. Make a minor step back down because Fibonacci delivers in all kinds of ways. So we're going to be playing Fibonacci today at a beginning level of $10, and we're going to do column selects dozen and dozen selects column. We've got a 28 sitting up there, which gives us a $10 bet on first dozen because 28 appears in the first column. And the 28 actually appears in the third dozen, which gives us a $10 bet on the third column, except that we don't want to bet $100 just quite yet. Let's reset that and go from there. $10 on the first dozen, $10 on the third column. And there's a win on the column bet, which keeps us at the $10 level. We'd have been here anyway, but the 33 appears in the third column, which gives us a $10 bet in the third dozen. And the 33 is in the third dozen, which gives us a $10 bet on the third column. We're going for a $450 win today, 15% of our buy-in. We bought in today at $3,000. That's not our bankroll. That's 5% of our bankroll. If you're a little bit mid-roller, you're buying in at $300. If you're a low roller, you're buying in at $30. In any event, you have 5% of your bankroll with you, not 100%. 95% of your money is at home. And we have a $10 bet. 13 appears in column number 1, so column chooses the dozen. And the 13 is in the second dozen, which gives us a second column bet of $10. And that is a double win. So we're going to reset to $10. The 11 appears in the second column, which gives us a $10 bet on dozen number 2. And the 11 is in the first dozen, which gives us a $10 bet on column number 1. It keeps us at that level because we did win the dozen bet. So we're going to have the 24 gives us a $10 bet selecting the dozen over on dozen number 3. And the 24 is in dozen number 2, gives us a $10 bet on column number 2. Gives us a reset to $10. 26 appears in column number 2, selects dozen 2. And the 26 is in column 3 because of dozen number 3. Keeps us at the $10 level. 23 is in column 2. And we have a dozen 2, column 2 bet, $10. Looking for $450. And we're going to repeat the $10 bet. Off of the 4 is both column 1 and dozen number 1. $10 second level Fibonacci. Keeps us at the $10 level for the number 12 appears in the third column, which gives us a third dozen bet. And it is in the first dozen, which gives us a column 1 bet. Prompters to keep things random. So we're looking for is randomness and intersections. When we go to the second level Fibonacci, a $10 bet, the 2 is in the column number 2, selects dozen 2, and selects column number 1, second level $10 Fibonacci. And we're going to a $20 bet, the 27. We're going to have column 3 and dozen 3. A pair of 3s there. And that gives us a $40 bet. And we're going to be on dozen 2 and column 2 for $40. And we're going to climb the ladder a little bit. The 34 appears in column 1. That's a $60 bet in column 1. And the 34 is in dozen 3, which gives us a $60 bet out there. Very dry in the palace today, and I'm getting a dry throat. Sorry about that. And we're going to a $100 bet. 16 is in column 1 for $100. And the 16 appears in dozen number 2, selects the column for a $100 bet. And we spin. And that's a column. That's a dozen win. So we're going to slide down to a $40 bet. The audible to maintain control. $40 bet on, this is what I'm talking about make your decisions prudent about your money. The $40 bet is on, that's the wrong place. The 9 is in the third column, so we're making a $40 bet on the third dozen and a $40 bet on the first column. And that's a net win of $40. So we're going to go to a $60 bet. The 26 appears in the second column, so the $60 bet comes in the second dozen. And the 26 is in the third dozen, so the $60 bet is in the third column. Second dozen, third column. And then we will go to the $100 bet. And we're going to be on both dozen number 1 and column number 1 for $100. And we're going to a $160 bet on dozen number 2. And the 23 is the second dozen, so the $160 bet is in column 2. So with the 3, we have a $260 bet on third dozen. And the 3 appears in the first dozen, So the $260 bet dozen chooses the column, goes to column number 1. Now we're at a $420 bet. 17, that is in the second column. The $420 bet is there, and it also appears in the second dozen, so the $420 bet is going to be second dozen, second column. That's a $420 win on the second column, the second dozen. We lost the second column bet. So this is when we call the audible, and we go to a $60 bet. The 15 appears in the third column. We'll go $60 on Fibonacci on the third dozen, and the 15 appears in the second dozen, so the $60 bet is in column number 2. Being precise, always be precise with your money. This is your money, you watch it carefully. So the $60 bet goes to $100, and we're going to bet $100. The 19, it appears in column number 1. So we're going to go $100 in dozen number 1. The 19 appears in dozen number 2. So we go $100 in column number 2. And we spin. And we have a $160 bet. The 31 is in column 1. And we have $160 bets in dozen number 1 and in column number 3. And we have a $260 bet. That's the 34. The 34 puts us on a $260 bet in the first dozen, and in the third column, $260. First dozen, third column. And that gives us a $420 bet. The 25 is in the first column. So the $420 bet goes in the first dozen. And the 25 appears in the third dozen. So that chooses the column. 420. First dozen. Third column. So we win the column bet. We move the Fibonacci back down to $100. And the 18 is in the third column, which gives you the third dozen. And the 18 is in the second dozen, which gives you the second column. And we stay at the $100 level. The 17 is in the second column. That gives us the second dozen. It's in the second dozen, gives us the second column. $100, 2 and 2. We stay at $100 with the column number, with the dozen number 2. And the 35 is in dozen number 3, so the $100 goes up there in the third column. And we move to $160. Column 1, dozen 1. So we win the dozen, which puts us at the $100 level. In dozen number 2, column number 1, $100 column chose the dozen chose the column. And we go to 160. And we're on both dozen number 3 and column number 3. And we go to $100 bet. On column number 3 and dozen number 3. And what I do here is I stay where we were, but I do increase the Fibonacci. Because it's random, you stay there because it's random. We go to $100 bet, 27. Well, we're going to keep doing that. The column chose the dozen, and the dozen chose the column. So we stay up there. Divisible by 3, the third column. And we go to $160 bet. On dozen number 2 and on column number 1. And that puts us at the $100 bet on dozen number 1 and on column number 1. That one keeps us at the $100 level for the 31. The column chose the first dozen, and the $100 goes to column number 3. The first dozen, the third column. The 34 puts us at $160 on column 1. And $160 on $160 on dozen number 1, $160 on column number 3, corresponding to the prompting number. And that'll move us to a $100 bet. We're actually in session win, so that actually restarts us. The 12 is in column number 3, which gives us a $10 bet in dozen number 3, and a $10 bet in column number 1. $10 win. The 32 puts us $10 in column 2 and $10 in dozen 2, $10 in column 3. And the 31, $10 in column 1, $10 in column 3. Dozen 1, column 3, $10. And the $10 win on the 10 keeps us at $10 on dozen number 1 and $10 on column number 1. The 27 gives us a $10 bet. Let's go to $20 on, after that loss, let's go to $20 on column number 3, on dozen number 3, and $20 on column number 3 after that second loss. And that moves us to a $40 bet on dozen number 2 and on column number 2. Keeps us at a $40 bet, that 8 does. It keeps us at $40 on dozen number 2 and moves the column bet to column number 1 for the 8. That's a win on the column bet. We're going to stay at the $40 level. The 25 is in column 1, $40 dozen number 1. And the 25 falls into column number 3 for $40. Looking for an intersection, here we go. And the 20 moves us to a $60 bet in dozen number 2 and in column number 2. We go to the $100 level in column number 3 and in dozen number 1. $100 level, Fibonacci. The $100 win keeps us at the $100 level. The 4 appears in column number 1, which chooses the dozen, and the 4 is in dozen number 1, which chooses the column. That's a win in the dozen, so it keeps us at $100. It lowers us to $60 because we are at $40 session profit. This is again where I'm talking about manage your Fibonacci, manage your money, play smart. You're the quarterback of this thing. So we are going to the $60 level, and the 6 puts us in the third dozen and in the first column for $60. More than anything, be precise. This is what you have to do, and call it the way that you have to call it to manage your money. And there's a nice intersection right there for $240. Puts us back to the $10 level bet. The 34 is a big number, but it appears in the first column, and that chooses the dozen. And the dozen, the 34, is in the third, so it chooses the third column. We're at plus 280. We're going for 450 today. And we do a $10 bet after that. Very random, repeating the 34 for all you probability people out there. Never thought that could happen, right? Sure. Everybody in the kingdom knows it happens. So we repeat the $10 bet in column, and in dozen number 1, and in column number 3. The second level Fibonacci $10 bet. And that wins the column bet. So we go to $10. The 21 appears in column 3, chooses the dozen, and the 21 is in the second dozen. $10, column number 2. Very manageable. And we have a second level Fibonacci that we're going to move to $20 at the first level, the first entry of the second level. The $20 bet goes on dozen number 2. The 16 is in the second dozen, so that chooses the column. $20 bet. And we go to a $40 bet. We have a 28, so that puts a $40 bet on dozen number 1 and a $40 bet on column number 3. And that's the one of the dozen. So we stay at the $40 level with the column selecting the dozen and the dozen selecting the column gives us column 1 and dozen 1. And that's a column win, which keeps us at the $40 bet. And that is column number 2, which gives us dozen number 2 and gives us $40 in column number 1. The 5 appearing in the first dozen corresponding to the first column. And that is a win in the second dozen, which keeps us at $40. And I think the 17 is one of those numbers that keeps you at dozen number 2 and column number 2, as they are sharing the same real estate. 17 does. And we win a plus 40 off of the dozen bet. This is the beauty of it, Fibonacci playing this way. So we got a 21, which gives us a $40 bet on dozen number 3, and the 21 falling in column number 2. That's why we are there. Love it when these things balance. Love it when they align. It doesn't matter. This is how it's played. So this is the score. A miss there, so we go to $60, and we are at $60 in column number and dozen number 3, and $60 in column number 2. I thought we had an intersection back there for a minute. Missed it. But there's one. Picking up $60 there. So we're managing our money. We've just made a positive $60. We're going to bet $40 on the second dozen for where the 8 appears in the second column. And we're going to bet $40 on the first column because the 8 appears in the first dozen. We're at $350. And after that loss, we will go to $60 in the second dozen and in the third column. Being precise, watch your money, play it correctly. We get a nice win of $60. So we maintain that level with a $60 bet in the third dozen and in the first column. And that's a dozen win. Stay at the 60. No, actually, let's manage our money. Okay, so we're going to go to a $40 bet. The 32 is in the column number 2, chooses the dozen. The 32 is in the third dozen, chooses the column. $40, second dozen, third column. We're at $390. And there is a 3. That's a column win that'll keep us at $40. So the column chooses the dozen. That's $40 there in dozen number 1. And the 3 falls in the dozen number 1, so it gives us a 1 and 1. We're at $430. And we have a 25. And that is a $40 win. And that's a $470 profit. And I do love this. I hope that you see it too. I hope you see how it went down early, how it came back, and also most importantly, this do-re 2 or do-re part 2 that Found in Him gave to us. Brad gave it to us, and we have found modifications that we truly like. But one that I truly love about this is what I'm telling you now. Pay attention to how we manage the Fibonacci. Fibonacci is an Italian mathematician, and his numerical system appears all through the world, all through plant life, everywhere else. But in plant life, it doesn't rob your bank. At the roulette table, it will rob your bank. And so pay attention to how I managed it. I'm not saying to get reckless about how you do things. Be under control. You are the quarterback of your money. And just like I did, if you're going to win something, all right, calm down a little bit, because you've got two great bets going with an intersection that can result in a double win. And that's when you really jump up. So keep yourself in the game. Keep yourself in the where you can get that double win, because they're coming. They are coming. And you know why they're coming? Random. That's why they're coming, because it is random. And random things will collide with other random things, just as they have now for 40 days with us. Over and over again, we've seen it. Please keep the emails coming. All of you that aren't kings, please upgrade as soon as you can. We've got some things that we need to do. We've got to get these numbers up so that we can do the things we're wanting to do. I'm being held under some instructions, and I'll be happy to answer any questions somebody shoots me on an email. Do not hesitate to ask anything. And just as I got a second email this morning, I believe from one of our kingdom members, I can't even pronounce the name, in the Netherlands, I believe, in the Netherlands, sent me a follow-up of, hey, I sent you an email, King, give me an answer. And so I went like, oh, shoot, yeah, that's exactly right. If I miss you one time, it is an administrative thing. And so follow up with the question, and I will catch you on the flip side. This is the King for another day. A great time at the wheel, stared into the abyss unblinking, because we know the numbers are going to come back to us. Until tomorrow, I bid you adieu.